The 12.9-inch M2 iPad Pro is a great example of good things happen to those who wait. Now, one of the best things about the new iPad releases is that you can snag older models like the M2 or the M1 Pro for way less money, and they will still work amazingly well. And as of January 9th, 2025, since the 12.9-inch iPad Pro is now considered quote-unquote old, you can get one for around $700 compared to the latest M4 version that's $1,300, which in total is a $600 difference just to get something that's slightly faster. And I know a lot of people think that they need to get the latest and greatest tech, but honestly, there are just so many great deals on slightly older devices that work just as and last for years. The 12.9-inch M2 iPad Pro still has an amazing display that offers great size, smooth scrolling, and an amazing functionality. It has the latest iPadOS 18, which means that you're getting the same standard and AI features that you would on the newest iPad, and you're getting the same great battery life that will last you from a full day to multiple days depending on your usage. So whether you're a student who's using it for school, an editor who wants a more mobile way to work, an artist who uses it to draw, a frequent reader, or if you're just using it for casual use like watching movies and playing video games, then this iPad won't let you or your wallet down. That's why in this video, I wanted to share my experience with the M2 iPad Pro after real world use and help you guys decide if it's worth buying based on what you want to get out of an iPad. Also, if you guys enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe. It helps the channel out a ton, and let me know down in the comments what phone that you would like me to do next. Now, although I do believe that the M2 iPad Pro is an amazing device and has great range when it comes to use, just like any older phone in the market, it still has many downsides that can make it seem pretty outdated at times. Now, iPad apps can cause me a lot of frustration, not only because some of the apps have been blown up to the point where they look so out of place, but they can also be very buggy, which often makes me question why certain apps are in the App Store to begin with. And the crazy thing is that in reality, this problem is unlikely to get fixed because the market just isn't big enough for developers to invest time and money in them. And of course, Apple is too stubborn to let Mac apps on the iPad, which is a major reason why my MacBook gets way more use from me. I also noticed some annoying screen bloom when I will watch dark content on my iPad Pro. You know, when bright stuff on dark backgrounds gets this weird halo around it, and it really bugs me and it makes it harder to really enjoy what I'm watching. And the final thing that I really don't like about the 12.9-inch iPad Pro as a whole is that it doesn't really use all of its screen. Yeah, the picture quality is great, but whenever I'm watching something on YouTube or just watching a movie, there are two huge black gaps on the top and bottom, which often makes me question why I got the 12.9-inch version in the first place. A good comparison is Samsung's Galaxy tablets, and the way these tablets are shaped allows you to use every inch of the screen fully rather than limiting your enjoyment to certain occasions. And look, I know these issues with the 12.9-inch iPad Pro are real. I've dealt with them myself, but honestly, they're not huge deal breakers. The good stuff about this tablet totally makes up for the little annoyances. And now let me tell you about some display features that I'm still loving after all this time. The 120Hz Pro Motion is just incredible. Everything from scrolling through websites to playing games to drawing with my Apple Pencil feels super smooth and natural. And the brightness is also really good. Whenever I'm watching HDR content, it goes up to 1600 nits, which means that I can see everything crystal clear whether I'm working outside in the sun or watching my favorite shows in HDR. I've also been super impressed with Face ID on this iPad. It works perfectly no matter how I'm holding it, upright, sideways, and even when I'm lying in bed with low lighting. And also what's really cool is that it's just as quick and accurate now as it was when it was first purchased. No slowdown at all. It still feels like magic every time I use it. And I gotta say, the screen on this thing is still incredible. The mini LED display gives you these super deep blacks and colors that jump off the screen. It looks amazing whether I'm touching up photos, binge watching shows, or just reading through some documents. And what really impresses me is that even after using it for so long, the screen looks just as good as the day I got it. No burn-in or any other issues. Another thing that really impresses me is how responsive the touch still is. Whenever I tap, swipe, or use any gestures, it works instantly, no lag at all. And when you pair that with the super smooth 120Hz refresh rate, using this iPad feels just as modern and snappy as any new tablet in 2025. And I was also really impressed with how well the M2 chip has held up on this iPad Pro. Even now in 2025, it handles everything that I throw at it like a champ. I did some 4K video editing in Final Cut Pro, and it was able to run everything extremely smooth. The RAM on this thing is great, 8 gigs on the regular version, and 16 gigs if you go for more storage. And I love how I can jump between different apps super quickly, and they stay ready to go in the background. The gaming performance performance is honestly incredible. I've been playing games like Call of Duty Mobile and Asphalt 9 with everything maxed out. They run super smooth without any stuttering or frame drops, and pretty much any game that you can find on the App Store runs perfectly, and it's really impressive that it's still keeping up. I was also really impressed with how the iPad handles heat. Even when I'm gaming for hours or doing heavy work on it, it stays nice and cool without slowing down at all. I was also really impressed with how well the Apple Pencil still works on my iPad Pro. Again, the 120Hz refresh rate and M2 chip work really well together to make writing and drawing feel super smooth, and there's basically no delay at all. I use it for everything from quick notes to detailed artwork, and I also have this matte screen protector, and it honestly feels just as natural as using a regular pen and paper. The palm rejection on this thing is amazing, and I love how the pressure and tilt sensitivity feels super natural. Whether I'm just doing a quick doodle or working on something more detailed, it just works exactly how I want it to. The hover feature is really cool. It's super handy because I can see exactly where my pencil is going to land before I even touch the screen. Plus, the magnetic charging on the side was pretty convenient. I never had to worry about losing my pencil or running out of batteries since it was always right there, charged and ready to go when I needed it. The keyboard setup on my iPad is pretty good as well. It really makes it feel like I'm using a proper laptop with the very clicky keys and the super responsive trackpad that just works. The only downside is that it does add a lot of weight to it, and at times it can actually feel heavier than the MacBook Air, which is kind of crazy when you think about it because it takes away from the whole portable laptop thing that I was going for. And finally, let's talk about iPadOS 18. Now, I got some really mixed feelings about it. There are some things that I absolutely love, but also some stuff that manages to really get on my nerves. I really like how smooth and fast everything runs. The AI stuff is lacking, but some of it is pretty useful. It's missing features, but it does make selecting and editing text way easier than before. And even though iPadOS keeps getting better, it's still not as powerful as my Mac. Like, I just can't move windows around freely like I can on my desktop, and dealing with files is way more of a hassle than it should be. Sure, they've made external display support better, but it's still pretty limited compared to what I want it to be. And the biggest issue that I have is that Apple keeps making iPad apps separate from Mac apps. There are some really powerful Mac applications that would be perfect on the iPad Pro, but we're stuck with the mobile versions that don't have all the features. And it kind of feels like an artificial limitation rather than a technical one, especially given how powerful the M2 chip still is. So overall, the 12.9-inch M2 iPad Pro is an absolute steal in 2025, especially if you want a big, powerful tablet without spending a fortune. Sure, the new M4 version is faster, but honestly, the M2 is already super powerful for pretty much anything that most people need for day-to-day usage. So why spend the extra money? And plus, you're getting some amazing things that come with the M2 iPad Pro. An amazing mini LED screen, this super smooth ProMotion display, and it works with all the latest accessories like the Apple Pencil and Magic Keyboard. And when you really think about it, all the important features that make an iPad Pro great are exactly the same between the M2 and the newer M4 version.